A lot of baby registries include a changing table, but do you actually need one? We're going to talk about the positives to it, the negatives to it, and why I recommend actually skipping a changing table and what I would do instead. Before you spend that money or one of your friends spend it off your baby registry, let's talk about it. Okay, so what does a changing table get right? It gives you a dedicated space to change baby. It gives you a way to change them without having to sit on the floor or like bend over. It could keep the germs in a designated area as well. Like, okay, this area is kind of like a gross area. We're not changing them on the couch or something like that. It gives you a consistent routine and a consistent setup for changing diapers. Okay, I will give it that. I'll give it that for the win. However, the key is, are you gonna use it? We'll come back to that. So what is the changing table, changing station? So, okay, first let me throw up on the screen a wooden one here that has like open shelving, and it is a designated piece of furniture. Don't love this. It looks messy, and to me, it's a no. This is a hard no. Now throwing up, it's clearly a changing table on the top, but it has drawers underneath. A little bit better, but what I would do instead, if you must do this, is do a true dresser and do one where it is a changing station that just sits on top, like a changing pad. That's the better option. I still would skip this option though, because we don't need it. So those are the quick options as far as changing stations. Now, why do I think you should skip it? Well, depends on your house, depends on your life. Where are you actually changing baby? Okay, are you living in a multi-level home? If their bedroom's upstairs, but you spend most of the day on the main floor, are you actually changing their diaper down there? Do you have two complete setups? Do you just have like the main setup in the room and then a diaper caddy, on the main floor? What are you doing and how does it make sense, I guess? For me, I lived in a single-story home with my babies, and I actually would take them to their room to do changes. I really did. Most people aren't actually doing that, in my opinion. Now, here's the thing though. I did not have a changing station like what I just showed you. What I had was my kids had a crib in their room, and then we had a guest bed. One of them was like a big full or a queen, and then the other one was actually just a twin bed, and it was low. But what we did on this bed, the bed is made, the comforter's on it, it looks nice. Sometimes I slept in the bed, but overall it looked nice. Then I would put a little baby quilt, like 3 foot by 3 foot, little baby quilt down. And then I'd put the diaper caddy in the corner, and I'd set them on this quilt and change their diaper. If we made a mess, the quilt could easily go in the wash. I'd set out a new quilt. The comforter did not get destroyed, which was a plus, and the diaper caddy was there and ready to go. That's it. I just changed them essentially on a blanket. It's not that complicated. You don't have to have a piece of furniture. You don't have to have this changing pad. Not necessary. All right, this is where the baby industry just blows it up and you spend $1 zillion on things that you don't actually need. You can live without it. So many times parents end up changing babies all over the house. All right, it's not that serious. You get really comfortable with it and you get really casual with it over time. I know people on their 4th kid, I babysat, did a lot of nannying and babysitting growing up. They, in their like entertainment center, they literally just kept diapers and wipes. That's all they did. They changed their baby out on the carpet, no big deal. Put the stuff away. Like, you don't need all the perfection, okay? I like a diaper caddy. If you have 2 floors, I would recommend possibly getting 2 diaper caddies, one for up in their bedroom and then one for on the main level, like your living room area or playroom, wherever they spend time. I only had 1 diaper caddy and I had it in their room, and that worked for us. I did change them in their bedrooms because our house was small. It was like 4 steps to get there. Not a big deal. If you live in a larger home, you might need a different plan, okay? And that's why I recommend diaper caddies and maybe getting 2 of them. Now, I do want to mention one more con to the upper level changing table. It's a pro and a con. So if it's on a dresser, if it's on a changing table, like wooden piece of furniture, they're up high. This is a pro if you had a C-section, or if just you had a rough birth and the idea of leaning over or sitting on a couch and changing them on the floor is too much for you. Okay. But there is more risk of them falling off, like rolling off. Obviously, you should always have a hand on them and be careful. But I do think there can be a safety issue. I feel like changing tables can be a risk. So for me, I actually prefer to change them on the floor or on this bed, which on the twin bed, I had them sideways on it. So there was a decent amount of room for them to roll. Not that I was letting them. And then on the queen or full bed, I think it was a queen, there was obviously plenty of room. Again, I wasn't letting them roll, but like if they happened to roll, there was a little more like wiggle room versus those changing tables. If they roll one time, they're off, they're gone. So keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind. The way I do it, I strongly recommend. And if you want a changing table, I recommend the pad on the dresser at the most. But even that for me is a total skip. I like the quilt with the diaper caddy on a bed, on the floor, on the couch, wherever. If you don't want to use like a baby quilt, you can get a little changing pad. They make those as well and sell those separately. I've actually seen those really affordable as well. So look for some links down in the description. I'll link some of these products, whether they're good or bad, in my opinion, I'll still link them. I liked my option better. I encourage you to think outside the box. Don't just get items because you're told to get them. Like, well, we need a changing pad. No, you don't. No, you don't. Think for yourself. Do you? Do you need this rubber thing to change them on? No, you don't have to have it. I loved having a bed in my children's room. It was a place where I changed their outfits. I got them dressed. We did the diaper changes. And also when I did sleep in their rooms, I had a bed. And I did different things with each child, but the second child, I especially slept in the room. I nursed them. They slept in the crib, but I slept in the bed. And it worked so great. So I cannot encourage that enough. And then you have a bed for when they grow up and they need a bed. You just already have it. So you're just kind of jumping the gun on that and getting ahead of the game. I want to pose this question to you. It's not, do babies need a changing table? It's, will you use the changing table often enough to justify the cost and the space that it's taking up in your home? At some point, it's an item you have to get rid of. All right, at some point, it is more work for you. Those little changing pads, a lot of times you have a cover on them. It's one more thing to wash. Like, more stuff is more problems, and it's more to care for and manage and even get rid of in the future. So for some families, the answer is going to be yes, they want a changing table. And for others, it's going to be an absolute skip. For me, get the diaper caddy instead. I have a video on that. I will link that in the description where I go over why I think that product is just a winner chicken dinner every time. All right, so check that one out. And then I also want to pose you with a value proposition that I like to state with a lot of baby items. Okay, it's all about the cost. Changing pads can be expensive, so the cost, the frequency of use, which a changing pad, if you do use it, could be used multiple times a day, and duration would be until they're potty trained. So to you, it could be a good value. To me, it was not. It did not pass the value test for me because it also wasn't a need. There's wants versus needs. That's a factor as well. So for me, based on just the price and the lack of need, it was an absolute skip. So if you're wanting a small nursery, a tight budget, or just simplicity overall with raising your baby, maybe for you, the changing table is a skip. Babies need clean diapers. That is the must-have. A designated space to change them is not. So think about your home, where you plan to spend time with baby, and what your routines are probably gonna look like. And that will help you make a decision. And if you need more personalized help on your baby registry, I offer a service. It'll be linked down in the description as well as in the first pinned comment. I look forward to hearing more about you, your baby, and your baby registry. Until then, I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.